Okay, thanks for coming on today. Appreciate people joining me. This is Ed Crow, and today we're going to go over Connecture, which is, for those not familiar, an online enrollment system. A couple things before we get into the details here and get started. So we do these webinars usually on Wednesday and Thursdays. During AP, sometimes we just do one day a week, but on Wednesdays and Thursdays, usually on Medicare topics. I always say this, I rarely get suggestions though, but if anybody ever wants to see a specific topic done, whether it be Medicare or any other line of insurance, I'd be happy to do it. Just email me or call the office and let us know. We can look into doing that topic for you. We do record our webinars, so for future reference, anybody that registers will get a copy of the recording later on in the day. So if you want to watch a future webinar but you can't make the time, maybe 1 o'clock doesn't work for you, just register. You don't have to attend, so just register and you'll get the recording. If you have questions, send them into the webinar. I always say this, but I'd like to be able to answer questions along the way. I'm not smart enough to do that, so just ask questions, and at the end, then I will try to answer them for you. So, having said that, we're going to get started here. So what we're going to talk about today is Connecture, the online enrollment platform. Just to give you a feel for this, I'm going to go over through basics of Connecture for those who aren't familiar, how you log on, just kind of general capabilities of the system, and then we're going to go online. I'm going to log in and just do a couple things with demonstrations of going into my system, quoting and comparing, sending quotes, and showing you how to do the call recording, which is easy. In fact, it's really straightforward and pretty simple. So we will go through that, and with that, I think I'll get us started. So a couple new people have just come on. If you have any questions, I'll answer at the end, and you will get a recording of this webinar. So one more thing before we start. For tomorrow, so webinar today is Connecture. Tomorrow is Sunfire and my Medicare bot. People ask me the difference between the three a lot. There are some differences, and I'll touch on some of those today. So for Connecture, we'll talk about how to access it in the first place through Connect for Medicare. Connect for Medicare is a site that houses all three platforms, Connecture, Sunfire, and Medicare bot. You can run, obviously, quotes and do plan comparisons on Connecture. We will go through that today. I'll show you. You can run drug costs just like you can on the CMS Plan Finder. So you can run drug costs and see, how much it costs for each Advantage plan for PDPs. You can do doctor searches. All of these systems that I'm going to talk about today and tomorrow are basic CRMs, so they will save everything. So they'll save your client's info, the drug list, the doctor list, so you don't have to redo those every year. You can just log back in for your client that you went through last year, update the drug list, and rerun it. I'll show you how to access your Pearl. That's a personal URL for those who haven't used it. It's easy to access, and it is basically this system, but consumer facing. So it is a comparison quote and enrollment system that consumers can use. You are coded as the broker in there, so they can self-direct. They can go on the system, they can run plans, they can save drug lists, they can do anything you can do, and they can even enroll themselves and you would be credited for the sale. So I'll show you how to access that, because the Pearl can go on your website, on your email, social media can be used a lot of places. We'll go through the call recording, and then I'll talk about briefly on these few slides here, I'll talk about other recording options, overall recording options for your office, if you want to be able to record but not have to be logged into Connecture, Sunfire, or Medicare bot. Okay, I already talked over my slide. That's always good. We'll record this. I'll answer questions at the end. If you want to watch any of our webinars, I don't plan to be excited about them. I mean, they're all kind of about this, Medicare topics. But if you want to watch any of our recorded webinars, they're all on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, Crow & Associates, youtube.com, Crow & Associates, you have hundreds of recorded webinars there. That's where they all go when we're done. Briefly, programs we offer, I won't get into any detail today. If you have questions about them, we'd be happy to send you detail, and I have webinars on all of them. We do $500 per agent per month. That is towards your costs for Medicare marketing, whether it be leads, advertising, billboards, seminars, anything. So that's $500 per agent per month. You just have to send us a paid receipt. We have a T65 webinar program. It's available throughout the U.S. in any state. You can get specific to the area. Actually, it's a typo. It's not a webinar. It's a T65 seminar program. I apologize for that. T65 seminar program. We're averaging about right around 55 to 60 attendees per seminar. You don't have to invite the people. Our vendor does that for you, and we can run this all year and anywhere. We've done a lot of these over the last 8 months, and they've worked really well. So if you have interest in that, we certainly would be happy to give you information. We do free websites for agents that need them. We do SEO, show you how to get your website to search better or get topics that you're interested in to search better on Google. That's how we built the search for Crow & Associates. Obviously, online enrollment, which I'm talking about today. On Pinnacle's site, there's also a quote engine for everything else, all lines of business, in addition to Medicare, final expense, LTC, annuities. They use annuity rate watch, for example, term, UL, final expense. That's all on Pinnacle's site at no cost to you. Just briefly, we're going to talk today about the recording options for Connecture and how you can record, but obviously you have to be logged into the system to do that. I get a lot of agents I've talked to who they want to just be able to record at all times. So there are certainly a bunch of office solutions for that. And these, I just mentioned 4 of them here. There certainly are more, but 4 that I know people use and that I've had a chance to see are Uma, Simply, Ring Central, and Zoom Business. All 4 of those are very inexpensive. They're about $25 a month. They will save all the recordings for you. And those are solutions where you can have your office phone or your cell phone record at all times. Many of them let you keep your own phone number to do the recordings. There are a few that want you to do a new number. But if you're looking to just record absolutely everything at your office through your cell phone, regardless of what it is, and not need to log in, I'd recommend one of these. And again, there are others out there as well, but these are 4 I'm familiar with. So that's for a total office solution, and again, the cost is minimal. So that's something. I get a lot of people are getting caught up in the details of the recordings, and I always tell them sometimes, if that's going to worry you too much, or if that's just not your thing, you might just want to get an office solution, and then you don't have to worry about it. Okay, a couple updates. So Connecture, one big thing that they'll have, I'll mention it again, I'm sure, but they're going to have a voice scope. So right now, when you use Connecture, the enrollment's through text or email. It has call recording, but you record the call as you enroll them through text or email or through your Pearl. But the scope is also text or email, but they are going voice scope, so you'll be able to do that just simply with voice over the phone. You won't have to text or email that scope, which is pretty cool. And they're also going to add other products that you can enroll people in this year for 2023, which will be hospital indemnity, dental, and vision. You'll see the tabs on there for that, and those will come live in a couple days. Some of them already are. Okay, so that's it for that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go now and show you a demonstration of the site. Okay, so how do we get into Connecture? Well, you go to Connect for Medicare. So you go connectformedicare.com. So this is a Pinnacle website, and they use this site to house all 3 enrollment systems, as you can see. So there's your 2023 Connecture. So that you're going to be able to, you can quote that right now, but you won't be able to enroll people obviously until the 15th through there for January 1 effective. The 2022 version is still live. So if you got somebody you need to enroll for a November or December 1, you'd use the 2022 version. And as you can see, you can also access 2023 and 2022 for Medicare Bot and also for Sunfire. But today we're going to demonstrate Connecture because I want to show you we'll use the 2023 because I want to show you the call recording. And one quick thing on the call recording, it's mentioned in there that recording requirements start on 10/1. But so everybody's aware, to clarify, you need to record for 10/1. Technically 10/15 you'll really have to start because it's for 1/1 effective dates. So again, the call recording requirements it was put in place for 10/1, but it's really applicable to you 10/15 for 1/1 effectives. So I get a lot of people saying, what if I do a 2022 for 11/1 or 12/1? You're okay. You don't have to start. There's not a requirement until it's a 1/1 effective. Okay, so you're going to go, you need a username and password to log into Connect for Medicare. If you don't have one, call us, we'll get you one. And then you'll need a username and password for each of Connecture, Sunfire, and Medicare Bot. So obviously this is going to be Connecture. I'm going to log in. Okay, so a couple things when you're in Connecture. First of all, if you just want to get a quote for somebody, maybe you don't even want to set up their profile, because if you build a profile for a person, it's got their information and it will save it. But maybe you're just in a rush and you want to get a quick quote. If you want to do that, all you have to do is click Plans. So we click Plans, we put in a zip code, can be any zip. I'll just choose mine because I'm here, and shop for plans. Okay, so as you can see, I put that in. It's going to give us Advantage plans, MA only, standalone PDPs, Med Sup. You got here now are the new dental, vision, and indemnity tabs, which will start getting populated in the next couple days with more plans. If you want to quote regular MA, that's what it's going to default to, regular MA plans. If you want to quote SNPs, like duals, for example, you click the dual tab and the duals will show up. On 1015, there's going to be another tab on here, because right now this is only showing plans that I'm contracted and certified to sell for 2023. On 1015, a new tab is going to show up that says Show All Plans. If you click that Show All Plans button, it's going to show everything, whether you're contracted with it or not. That's pretty handy, because it's nice if there's a state you're not familiar with or a carrier you don't have, you can still quote and compare it. You just can't enroll people in it because you're not certified to sell it. But that option will be available, and it comes in really handy for something like the SilverScript Smart RX, which isn't going to be commissionable for 2023, so it's not going to be in the ready to sell status because it doesn't pay commission for 2023 for new sales. But you don't want to still, if you have existing clients with it, you still want to quote and compare it. So you're going to be able to quote and compare it still and see how they're, how your existing clients on the Smart RX, how they look compared to the other drug plans. And for those with existing clients, the Smart RX is paying commissions on existing for 2023. They're just not paying for new. Anyhow, we can do a couple things when we do this if you want. You could compare these. So if you want, you can compare up to 3 plans. So all I do is click the Compare button. So pick one more. Let's see. Okay, and just click Compare Now. And that will compare the 3 plans for me. It'll give you a general summary of them. And then if you want detail like OTC, vision, dental, those kind of things, you'd click the Plan Details button. I'll do an example of that. And there you can see more detail on the plan. If I had built a profile and entered prescriptions and doctors, I could check drug costs, total costs, that kind of thing. I didn't yet because I was just showing you how to do a quick quote, but it gives you more detail now. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it's going to give you, the documents, summary of benefits. As of 10/15, there'll be the app on there if you need paper. So you can access PDFs of all those things when you go to the bottom of any given quote. Now, we're not going to be able to do an actual enrollment because it's not 10/15 yet, but let's say you wanted to send these 3 plans, or maybe you just want to send 2. If you want to send 2, you get rid of 1. So if you want to send 2 or 3 plans, you just click Send Quote. In there, you'd put in the person's name, email, and phone number. Now, you're probably wondering, well, if I'm going to send them a quote and want to talk to them, I got to be able to record it. The record option, since I didn't build a profile yet, isn't going to come up because it doesn't have a phone number to do an outgoing call to. So let me do an example. So again, I didn't build a profile. This is just doing a quick, I just wanted to do a quick quote, but now I decide I want to send them this quote and talk to them about it. So I'll say test case, and I'll put a phone number in. I'll put my own in. My cell's on my contact information anyway, so here we go. All right, so I put in the number. I sent the quote to this person. And now because I sent that quote, now I could add a task for future reference and that would come up on my dashboard. So I could do a follow-up here. But because I just sent that person a quote, I now can record. So the recording is very easy. You click Start Call Recording. And at the top, it's going to list the number you're calling from. So this is something, if somebody calls you, they want to talk Medicare, you say, great. We can talk Medicare, but I got to record it. So I'm going to call you from a recorded line. Here's the phone number. It doesn't change for you. It'll be the same every time. And I would just then click the call button. And when I click that, it's going to call them. And when it calls them, it says right on the call, it's an automated message that said this is a call from a recorded line. If you accept the recording and want to continue, push 1. That's protecting you against the call rules. You got to be careful with that. Some states are single consent call states, some are dual consent, meaning in a dual consent state, both parties, that means one party has to inform the person they're being recorded. The other party has to confirm they're okay with being recorded, and that's why they do that. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble for not notifying people in dual consent states that they're being recorded. So this takes care of that. When it calls, it's going to read the message. They got to push 1 to continue. So all I would really do to record this is click Call Beneficiary, and then I'm recording, and then I can continue to enroll them or whatever I want to do through the system. If I click Add to Cart on these plans, this is if I was actually enrolling somebody. So if I'm recording the call, I can either send them the plan, just this specific plan, for them to fill out and sign, or if I'm recording the call, which I need to be, I can complete and submit. In the past, this was just for when I was face-to-face, but now since it's being recorded, I can complete the app for them. The only thing they got to do at the end is fill their name in to sign the application. Okay, now, what if I'm talking to somebody and I want to build a profile for them? So we'll use an example. So I talk to a person, I know I'm going to enroll them. So I'm going to put in their information, I'm going to make a profile. All right, I'm going to put in a phone number because I want to do the call. Okay, I'll do the rest of this stuff later. I will save it. Okay, now that I saved it, I saved their profile, the phone number's in there, so again, I can do the call recording. So I would push start call recording, do the same thing we just talked about. It would record the call then, and I can continue on with my enrollment. And when you build a profile for somebody, it's going to be saved. And then this gives you the opportunity to add a lot more information for this person than you would if you're just getting a regular quote by clicking on the plans button. So if I go here, I can do the scope from here. I can email or text it. I am going to be able to do a voice scope on 1015 for this. But for now, I could email or text that scope. I can put in preferences. So the preference tab means if I want to put in their prescription drugs, and if I want to say if they get drug help. This is important because if you say they get drug help, the system's going to adjust when it runs the drug comparison to reflect the drug help for the person. So it's important to put that in there, if they get help or not. I won't add it for now. Okay. Now, if you want to add their prescriptions, you just got to skip. I usually don't do the health part because that's going to use an algorithm to determine how much they're going to spend on their medical care. And it's really just a guess. Here I could put in their providers if I wanted, so I could build a provider list, and then when I run the plans, it'll show me how many of the providers are in each plan. And then here is the drug section. So it's just like the Medicare.gov site. And I do see I'm getting some questions. I certainly will answer those for you when we get done. So on the prescription section, I can put in anything. Let's say we'll do generic Lipitor. We'll do atorvastatin. I'll throw that in there. Great. I'll add it. We'll do lisinopril. I'm just doing a couple cheap ones. Okay. We'll add that. There, so I added a couple drugs for them. We'll hit continue. You can choose the pharmacy. You can choose 2 different pharmacies if you want. I'll just throw CVS in there. Hit continue. So I built a profile for the person. I put in their preferences, their drug list. I could have put a doctor list in there. I was too lazy and didn't, but you can, certainly. And then when I run these plans doing that, it's going to show me, if I had a doctor list in there, it would show me how many doctors are participating in each plan when I run it. It also shows me how much they're going to pay for their drug cost by plan. I put in two cheapies, obviously, so it doesn't show any cost. If I want to go in and change that, maybe I'll go really quick and say, let's go to prescriptions. I can always adjust the list. So I probably should have put one name brand in there just to give you an idea. So let's put in one that does cost money. We'll throw in Xarelto. Okay. So I'm going to rerun this now with Xarelto in so you get a better idea. All right, so our plans will come back in now. The drug list is going to look very different. It's going to give me the plans, and it's going to show me their estimated drug costs based on what I put in the pharmacy they use on each plan. I can sort this different ways. I'm going to sort it by drug cost. So as you go through, sorted by drug cost. Again, I can compare the plans. On the left, there are a number of things you can sort by. You can sort by Part B, give back. You can sort by plan type, by company. On the 15th, they will have the Insulin Saver program in here. That'll be a button you can click and just show plans that participate in the Insulin Saver program so they can get insulins for $35. But anyhow, if I picked a plan that they liked, I could send them a 3-plan comparison. Or I could just add to quote and just send them this quote if I want for them to enroll, or I could add it to cart. And if I add it to cart, then I can choose how I want to enroll them. Do I want to just send them the plan, or do I want to do it with them myself over the phone? Okay. And again, at any time, there's the call recording right there. You just push the button and click call beneficiary, and it's going to call them. And it's going to record everything, and it's going to save it for 10 years as required. A couple other quick things I want to mention in here on Connecture. First of all, your Pearl. A lot of people don't access that, but if you want to have a quote and comparison engine just like this that's consumer-facing on your site or your email, you can get your Pearl. And the way you do that is, and it's the same thing with Sunfire and Medicare Bot too. Just go into your profile. Your name will be at the top. Click Account Overview. And if your internet isn't slow, okay, there's my shopping link. That's my Pearl. I could also upload my picture in here. I'm not personally going to do that, but please feel free to if you like. Copy link. I'll show you what the Pearl looks like. So there's the consumer facing, and it's coded to you. So anything they do in here, they can quote and compare just like you can. They can enroll. You'll be credited with the sale. This is CMS approved, so it can go on your website, your email. Also, people ask me a lot, what about plan comparisons for AEP? And they'll say, Ed, can you make us a plan comparison? I used to make them, but they're not client approved. But you can make a 3-plan comparison right on Connecture, and you know that'll be something that you can actually share with clients. Okay, so there's a basic rundown of the system. Now, people ask me the difference between, say, a Connecture and Sunfire, which I'll talk about tomorrow too. A couple quick things. I think the fact that Connecture will have the verbal scope is a nice benefit. Sunfire is not going to do that. However, one thing I can tell you is that when you run the plan comparison initially, I'll just do it for you again here for a second. I'll just do a quick one. All right, so when you run the plan comparison on Connecture, it gives you a comparison initially, but it's an abbreviated one. It doesn't get into all the details. And to show you what I mean, let's see, let's compare those two. To show you what I mean here, so if I run the comparison, I'm going to run the 2-plan comparison, and it gives me basic information. on benefits. If you notice, though, it doesn't give me things like OTC, dental, vision, transportation. To get that, I need to click the plan details button. What I like about Sunfire is Sunfire gives you all of that information on the initial comparison. So it comes in really handy for the agent too, because you can, the things you tend to forget, like how much is somebody's OTC a month or a quarter, it'll show it to you immediately, which is a nice feature. So one other thing about the recording. So people ask me a lot, well, if the CMS rule says we got to record everything, you do. You have to record everything in the chain of enrollment. But so if you're driving in your car and somebody calls you on your cell, if they're talking to you and they call you and they want to talk about plans, you could schedule them. Say, well, I got to do this on a recorded line. Let's schedule you for a time when I'm at the office. When I get to the office, I'll call you. We'll talk for a minute, then I'll get you set up on the recorded line, and then you could record, and you'd be fine there because that would be a recording of the chain of enrollment. When you're talking benefits with them, trying to steer them into a plan, enroll them in a plan, change plans, you would have all that recorded, including the disclaimer that you would have to read to them. And I'm sure everybody at this point has seen the disclaimer. And one thing on the disclaimer only has to be stated to a client once. So if this takes multiple calls and you have multiple call recordings for that enrollment for that client, only one time does that disclaimer have to be stated to them. So it only needs to make one of the recordings. It doesn't have to be said every time, just for clarity there. Okay, so that's a general idea of how the system works. Let me see if I got questions. I do. Okay, so how do we do transactions such as call recording when we're on a cell phone in our cars? Well, I guess my first statement I would make is, I doubt, I wouldn't think most of us are enrolling people in an actual plan on our cell. So with this system, you got to be in front of your computer. So if somebody calls you on your cell and you're in your car, like I said, I don't think we'd be enrolling them anyway. But what you would say to them is, yes, I can talk to you about Medicare plans, no problem. I just got to schedule something for when I'm in my office so I can call you from a recorded line, and then you can record that. Next question. So that's a good question, though. Next question. What is the easiest way to quote someone? Let's see. What is the easiest way to quote someone who is on partial LIS or full LIS? Many clients don't know which level they are on. Is full IS Husky and partial QMB? Well, that is the trick when you're talking to somebody. So when you're talking to them, obviously in the system here, as you saw, you can choose, full dual, full IS, LIS, maybe they're an ALMB or a QMB. The way I try to figure that out if they don't know, because they usually don't know, is I will ask them questions. Like I'll say, if you're in an Advantage plan right now, you go to the doctor, are you paying copays? Yes. Okay, well, do they take the Part B premium out of your Social Security? I don't know. All right, when you go to the pharmacy, what do you pay for copays? $3.95 and $9 and something. Well, I know that's an ALMB. So really, I just feel it out by asking questions to determine that. One thing that's nice with these systems is Sunfire, which we'll talk about tomorrow. Sunfire is going to give you access as agents to marks. The mark system is nice because it will show plan history. It'll show you what they had the last 3 years, including what they have now. And the mark system will also show you their Medicaid, if they have Medicaid, or it'll show you if they have MSP, meaning LIS. So what I don't know is if it's going to show the specific level of LIS. So it'll differentiate between full dual versus LIS, MSP program rather. But I don't know if it'll show the details of the MSP program, but it'll also do MIB confirmation and A and B effective dates. So hopefully that answers your question in a roundabout way. Okay, so when we speak to clients over the phone, do we just press recording button or do we have to follow some script as well? Well, you have to, yeah, right. So when you call them, it's taking care of the recording part. So it's going to tell them that they're being recorded. But yes, you'd have to read them the disclaimer. So you'll want to have that disclaimer because that's got to be read to them within the first minute of recording the call. So, when you call them back, you get their phone number, put it in the system, let them know that you're going to call them back on a recorded line. It's going to handle the recording, but then you need to read them the disclaimer. And yeah, you got to handle, you got to be compliant with what the carriers want you to give as information in a sales presentation, whether it be in person or over the phone. We do have some scripts for that. For example, my Medicare bot, which I wish they all did this, but my Medicare bot, which is pure voice enrollment, I'm going to demonstrate that one tomorrow. You don't do text or email. It's pure voice enrollment. My Medicare bot does script that for you. Let's see what else we got for questions. Okay, next question. Do both apps have the client-approved comparisons? I heard you mention Connecture does, but does Sunfire? Yes, both of them have client-approved comparisons. Connecture, Sunfire, and Medicare Bot. What I was saying about that is Sunfire, to me, is a little easier to use in that regard because it has all the details in the comparison. Whereas on Connecture, you have to click the details button to see all the benefits. Okay, can you have a Zoom meeting showing Connect for Medicare and sign them in the Zoom meeting while recording them on Connect for Medicare? Yes, you could. I'd answer that question. So you could record them on Connect for Medicare, but I would say that's going to be awkward because you're going to have a Connect for Medicare recording. I guess if you're on the Zoom showing them your Connect for Medicare screen, then you could do that. That would work. But Zoom does have recording capability as well. And you do need to record Zoom calls. I know some carriers have said Zoom doesn't have to be recorded, but CMS is saying it does, so it does. So I've heard that, next question, I've heard that phone numbers given to agents have been used by others in the past. How are we to know we are being given a number that has not been used or that will not denote on a phone screen as a past user? I don't know the answer to that question. So I will have to take that one up and try to find an answer for that. It's a good question, but I don't know the answer to it. I wish I could. I will, if you want to follow up with us, though, I'll get that for you. Can you send us the disclaimer, or where do we find it? Yes. If you want, just go to youtube.crowandassociates.com and watch my call recording webinar, and I put the disclaimer on a couple of those. It's right on the front. Or I can just email it to you. Call my office, and we'll just send it to you. Last question I have. Do we need to record and keep Zoom in recording? Okay, wait. Do we need to record and keep Zoom in recording on Connect for Medicare? Connect for Medicare will keep it for you automatically. So once you record, you can go and search and find those recordings anytime you want. And on Connect for Medicare, which I should have shown you, you can also search for clients too. So if you click search, because it is a CRM, so if you click search on Connecture, you can search by first name, last name, email address. You can pull your clients up, and when you have recordings, if there's a recording, it'll be there, and you'll be able to access all the recordings you have for that client. But yes, you do need to record Zoom calls, and you need to keep those recordings through Zoom for 10 years. I don't think I have any other questions. It looks like that's it. A lot of good questions. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know this is a tough change for us. You know, I mean, the call centers have had these rules for 6 years now, more than that actually. So they've been recording calls, but it's new to us. One thing I do want to mention is if you are meeting people face-to-face, you do not have to record anything. And I get a lot of variations on that statement, a lot of questions about it. Well, yeah, what about when I set the appointment? What about no? The answer is if you're face-to-face and closing that person face-to-face, there is no recording requirement for it. End of story. So if you're doing face-to-face meetings, this isn't as applicable to you. This is for people that are closing without meeting face-to-face when we talk about the call recording rules. Okay, looks like that's all we have. Let's see, we got one more here. One more question. Can you sign the app electronically for the client with verbal consent during the call? Good question. Yeah, no, you have to send, you can fill out the entire application for them, but you have to send them that link by text or email to sign. But good question. Now, if you want to get away from that, it's Medicare Bot. So my Medicare Bot will do it by voice. So there is nothing to send to people. My Medicare Bot is a true call center setup. It's all verbal. Everything is voice signature. You don't have to text or email anything for enrollment. Somebody said, I've heard that even face-to-face meeting appointments made by phone need to be recorded. So let me try that again. I've heard that even face-to-face meeting appointments need to be recorded. No. So the appointment to make a face-to-face meeting does not have to be recorded. There is not a recording requirement for face-to-face sales. I think that's it for questions. All right, great. Well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you coming on. Again, I know it's a tough topic, but it's one of those things where we get a lot of changes. To put this in perspective for you really quick, when the scope of appointment came out, I mean, that put everybody in an uproar. There's a million questions, and I think we all can see that wasn't quite as tough as we thought, and I think you'll see this will kind of fall along those same lines. But anyway, I appreciate you joining me today. Feel free to join tomorrow if you want to learn about Sunfire and my Medicare bot. Thanks, and I hope everybody has a great day.